Hello. All right, I am plugging in my microphone. Forgot to do that. This video is going to be an amazing video all about you and your experience with anxiety. Hi, I'm Mary Richardson, and I help you overcome your anxiety symptoms. But for now, let's talk about this. Let's talk about you and some things you might be experiencing. When you experience severe anxiety, you might experience DPDR, agoraphobia, PTSD, OCD. You might have fears or those looping thoughts that just are, of course, are all negative, but it feels like those looping thoughts just keep you spinning and spinning, and you feel worse and worse as you try and work out all these negative symptoms, all these negative videos or scenarios going on in your mind. So those looping thoughts, those what if negative scenarios, can lead to even more anxiety. They can actually trigger, I believe, a panic attack, and on and on. You can actually get caught up in procrastination, self-doubt, low self-esteem, loneliness, exhaustion, feeling like a failure, constantly in that fight or flight mentality, where every time you are experiencing any kind of situation or interaction, your first go-to is always that panic, because the fight or flight keeps you so on edge that it's being panicked is like your default method of dealing with everything. Any unforeseen symptom, any unforeseen circumstance, any meeting a new person, starting a new job, changing your business, anything can trigger you to just go into panic mode, in that fight, flight, or freeze mentality. It's like survival mode. And that's good in the moment when there's something to survive from. But over time, living like that can really deprive you of thriving and feeling peace and calmness. And it prevents you from dealing with situations in a better way. When you deal with situations from a point of being calm and not having those fears running through your mind, you'll find that your situations, your problems are handled much easier. You can work yourself through the problem easier when you're not in the fear mode, the panic mode, the fight, flight, or freeze mode, the what if thought mode. When you take all that out of the equation and you're calm and focused, you can think clearly, you can come up with better solutions, and you'll find that your problems are easier to tackle. But how do you get from where you are now dealing with strong anxiety and agoraphobia, PTSD, OCD, depersonalization, derealization, all of those procrastinating distractions? How do you go from that to where you want to be? That's always the question. You know it's possible for other people to do that, but is it possible for you? So in this video, I'm just going to go through and show you how you can experience a transformation for yourself so that the self-doubt, the low self-esteem, the loneliness, the exhaustion, the gut issues, feeling like a failure, constant fight, flight, or freeze reactions, sleep disorders, the constantly comparing yourself to everyone else, the overthinking, how all of that, including hyperfocusing on your anxiety symptoms and just feeling stuck and alone, how you can break free from those things and stop making that your default way of being, and creating better habits and a new default, a new transformation that it can be life-changing, where you are finally finding inspiration in your own life, where you're finally not trying to just get through the day or struggling to get up, but rather looking forward to your day and feeling and knowing that your life has shifted into a positive, life-affirming, life-changing experience. And you'll look back and look at the contrast between where you were and where you are, and you'll know that you have transformed. So it can feel like when you're stuck, like it's an endless black hole or an endless supply of everything you don't want. especially when no one else seems to understand how it feels to be you. Others may even get tired of hearing you try to explain how you're feeling, telling you it's all in your head. So when you're trying to get through all of these negative scenarios that are playing out in your mind, others don't get it. And you might get caught in that trap as well, where you're constantly trying to explain how it feels to be you, how your anxiety feels to you, what the symptoms are to you, what it's like to be stuck in anxiety, procrastination. Everything you eat upsets your stomach, you can't sleep, you find it difficult just to leave the house. You can imagine what kind of toll this takes on relationships, your career, your business, your future. Because what happens is, if you don't overcome this, a year from now, you're going to be stuck in the same place mentally, dealing with all the things you don't want, and still trying to explain yourself to those around you who are never going to get what it's like to be you. So when you get stuck trying to explain your symptoms, you're really stuck you're seeking validation from those around you. You're seeking for them to validate that it's okay to be you, that it's okay to experience what you're experiencing. But what you're probably getting is a lot of what you don't want. In other words, you're not getting the validation. You might be getting some pushback, like, it's all in your head, just get over it. I'm sorry you're going through that. I don't understand why you can't leave the house. I need you, we need you to take care of the kids. We need you to have your job, work at a job, expand your career, and they're telling you everything you already know. But of course, what that does is it creates even more anxiety, because it's pointing out what you can't do right now, what you're not able to do, because the anxiety feels like a vice on your life, where, a vice that holds a piece of wood, you turn the crank and it gets tighter and tighter and it holds that piece of wood in place. Well, it can feel like a vice on your life, where every comment, every negative thought you think, every looping thought you think is turning that vice and squeezing your life into this tiny little place where your world is so small, where you're not even able to leave the house. And in fact, your world is even smaller because you're not even able to leave the thoughts that keep overtaking your mind. So all those negative what if thoughts just keep pounding your mind. And it feels like you can't break free. It feels like you don't have the power to break those thought loop habits. It feels like the self-doubt will always be there, the low self-esteem, the agoraphobia, the PTSD, the OCD, the looping thoughts, panic attacks. It feels like you don't have the power to overcome it, because it seems so big. It seems like overcoming such a big mountain of anxiety, it feels overwhelming. It feels too much. So that's how you stay stuck. So let's look at that versus where you want to be. What do you want is my question for you. What do you want in your life? How do you want your life to be different? No one can answer that but you. A lot of this overcoming the anxiety depends on you and what it is you see for your future. If you see your future differently, that's the first step. If you see yourself that it's possible to change your thoughts, then it is possible. Your mind doesn't care whether what you tell it is the truth or not the truth. It doesn't care. It just believes whatever you tell it. So if you are allowing those negative scenarios to play out in your mind accepts those as real. If you see your anxiety getting worse and worse, where you don't have the power to open a door and step out, your mind believes that, and it will keep telling you you don't have the power to open the door and step out of your house. You don't have the power to drive down the street. You don't have the power to leave your house or to get past, the gut issues. The reverse is also true, like yin and yang. There's positive and negative. So let's look at the positive. If you tell yourself the opposite, yes, I can open a door. All you do is grab the doorknob, you turn the handle, you open the door, you take 2 steps, and you're out of your house. So once you do that, you realize, wait a minute, I can leave my house. And when you do that, you'll realize, wait a minute, I'm still breathing. I might not feel comfortable, but you'll realize, hey, I'm still breathing. The sun is on my face. The air out here is great. I hear birds chirping, a lot of positive things about stepping out of your house. So that what that does is all those lies you've been telling yourself about how the anxiety is going to get worse start to have less power, because you're just standing on your porch and you hear all these great things. You hear birds chirping, you hear maybe people laughing, people talking, you hear cars, you hear the leaves on the trees rustling, and the sun on your face, and you're transforming what you thought was real in your mind to what you're actually experiencing. And that's the first step. No one can do it for you. Just like no one can lose weight for you, no one can force you to do anything or take your free will. These are things you and only you can do. So overcoming anxiety is really you deciding that you can overcome it. You might not know how, you might not know when, but just today, agree that it is possible for you to overcome the panic attacks, the gut issues, the sleepless nights, the worry, the fears, the looping thoughts. It is possible, because if one person can do it, then potentially everybody can do it. And we know that people have overcome anxiety, that people have still experience anxiety, but it does not control them. They control their anxiety. So instead of letting anxiety grow bigger and bigger, people that have overcome it know the tools that are necessary for them to dial down their anxiety and to control their thoughts. You can control your thoughts. So what happens during a panic attack is your body potentially is reacting to something. You don't have to know what the trigger is. And you can spend a lot of time looking for triggers, looking for something that in your past or something you're worried about that may have triggered the panic attack. It's really kind of, excuse me, a waste of time, because you don't have to, it might be no apparent trigger, and yet you're still feeling the panic attack. And your brain, what happens to your brain when your body is experiencing a panic attack is it doesn't understand why your body is reacting this way. So your mind is trying to figure out all these scenarios. Well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Well, and at the end of those thought loops, your brain realizes it cannot control your body, that your body is experiencing something that your brain doesn't understand. So your brain kind of freaks out a little bit and starts thinking, well, if I can't control my body, then, oh my goodness, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And of course, then it gets worse. But if you can shift your mind to saying, look, I'm just going to let my body feel whatever it wants to feel, and I'm going to be okay. And I'm going to go forward and do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And my body can still be experiencing a panic attack, because we know that people have experienced panic attacks over a couple of days. And yet they're still going on with their life. They're still doing things. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's annoying. And yes, they wish it would go away. But you know what? They just kind of let it play out. And it doesn't have the hold on their day. It doesn't keep them inside their house. They go on with their day. And the thing with panic attacks is you think that, what will happen if I go outside my house and I have a panic attack? Well, you're just outside your house. That's it. You can still breathe. You can still have control over your thoughts. When you shift your thoughts into something else, it takes the power away from the panic. So I hope this helped you today to realize that what you think has more power than anything else, and that you can control your thoughts. And it's the first step to overcoming strong anxiety. So instead of saying, you have to first catch yourself. When you start thinking, I can't, you need to stop yourself. When you stop that thought, I can't, when you stop it 21 times, you're already changing a habit. It takes 21 times of anything to form a new habit. So catch yourself today. I'm sure you're doing it more than once a day, thinking negative thoughts. So every time you think a negative thought, or you say, I can't stop this, or I am powerless to do this, you stop your thought and just say, I can stop it. I can think of something else that's positive. When you do it 21 times, and you can do it today, then you're already starting to transform your mind and take control of the anxiety. I hope this finds you well. I'm Mary Richardson, and I help you get unstuck. I help you with your strong anxiety. There's a link in the description box where you can click it, jump on a call with me, and see if I can help you, take you from where you're at to where you want to be. I look forward to chatting with you. Bye for now.